Hey guys, time for another update. Firstly, we'd like to kind of just start our thanks to everybody that's been that's backing this project, and thanks to everybody that's been super patient as well. We know that we've taken a long time, far too long, to get everything done, and really appreciate all of the support and all of the patience that everybody's showing, and the understanding that to get a good quality product out there does take time, and we're doing our best. We wanted to get an update as quickly as possible. Last time it took 4 weeks. This time I thought get one out within a week because there's a lot of happening now. There's some really important information in this update for people that are getting PVD plated rings, so that's the people that are getting black or blue metal rings. So follow this through and we'll get around to that. So we really get in there on the deliveries. We shipped another 583 over the last few days, and we've seen them arrive on social media. We've seen people tweet about them, we've seen people post videos and jump on Facebook and the like. So we really appreciate that. We really appreciate if you do get your ring and then you kind of spam it on your social technicals, let people know what you're doing, show people using it. It's really great because it helps us secure pre-orders, and pre-orders are really useful to us to grow the business as we move forward, and to kind of evolve the product, or to evolve the ring to make it more advanced, and so that we can add extra functionality and add new features and stuff to the app. So thanks very much for that. So like I was saying, 583 rings shipped on, it was about Monday last week. It was actually quite a few days ago. And that's awesome that you will have had your emails. We've now got total percentage of fulfilled orders up to 47%. So that's all the backers orders up to 47%, which is great. And we've got some more to go on. Some more to go out this Monday, which is now Sunday, so tomorrow. And that's from both the distribution centres, both the US and the UK. So that's to the whole of the world will be getting covered, and that'll take us past 50%. Obviously, we're still not in an ideal position, but we're getting there. We're getting through them, which is great. So if you've got your shipping email but you haven't got your ring yet, we're starting to see some rings return back to our office, and that's because of an incomplete address or an incorrect address. Don't panic too much. If you don't get your ring within 14 to 30 days, kind of drop us an email, support@nfcring.com, and we'll just check it and make sure that it's gone out to the right address, and then we'll make any changes we need to make and we'll get it out to you. So don't panic, it will get to you. If you're still waiting on your rings, don't worry, again, don't panic. We are still shipping. We told the factory over the last few days that we won't be accepting any ring dispatches after the 19th of May. We have been kind of lenient with them about not setting any deadlines. Maybe this was an error on our part. Maybe we should have been a bit stricter, but we're still aiming to get all of the orders fulfilled by May, all of the Kickstarter orders, and they're still confident that they can get everything done by the 19th. We're going to get all of those rings, but then there's going to be some QA fails. So just be mindful that if you don't get your ring in May, it's probably because it came, we inspected it and it failed on QA. But our actual quality that we're getting through from the factory increases quite a lot on every batch that they ship, and that's because they're getting more returns from us, and we're saying this is what a fail looks like, and then they iterate and improve the product. So when I say product, I mean ring. I don't know why I've started calling it product, but never mind. So this is a really important part of the update. Now, this is the part about stealth bombers, the QA fails and changes to the stealth bomber orders. Now, you remember that we had issues with the stealth bombers initially, where we had the carbon fibre issue, and now we have this horrible plating issue. I'm going to explain the problem first, and that is when you get the metal, you apply the PVD plating to it. And what that does is it just adds a couple of hundred, well, it's not a couple hundred, it's like 50 extra microns onto the surface that gives it the black finish or the blue finish. And basically what happens is that then goes on and it forms a lip. And then when we put the enamel, like the inlay cover, into where to the insert, like, the hole, what it's doing is that lip is creating like a little seam, and it's creating a gouge. I should see if I can find some pictures somewhere, and we'll include them in the update. But it makes the stealth bombers fail on QA, and we're getting about 80% failure on QA. And now the factory have had this order for 8 months now, and they've still not been able to figure out how to deal with this issue. And 8 months, and we're basically just, we're out of patience now. We've been out of patience for a while, but we've been giving them a little bit more time to kind of resolve this issue. So if you remember rightly, any of the stealth bomber rings that we're sending out at the moment are totally free rings anyway. They're temporary free rings. You get to keep them, but it's our way of saying, the carbon fibre was a mistake. Fair enough, not our mistake, but, what we wanted to do was to make sure that people got rings. So we said, we'll send you out these free stealth bombers. They were supposed to come, they were supposed to be great, but they didn't, because they all failed QA. and it's costing us far too much to fail them. An 80% failure rate costs us too much on the inlays. Even if we don't pay the factory for 80%, we still losing 80% of the inlay costs, which is way too expensive for us to handle. So here's what we're doing. We're replacing the stealth bombers with a different ring, and so the different ring is probably most likely to be a titanium, so non-PVD plated, probably with a transparent cover and a black cover, something like that. One of the rings that we've got in for pre-orders. So there's a few advantages and there's a few disadvantages. The advantages, we've probably got them in stock, and that means that we get them out. The disadvantage is you were supposed to be getting a stealth bomber and you are not getting a stealth bomber yet. That's a big yet. Remember, this is just a free ring, just to get you kind of up and running, just to get you going. So we're very sorry. The factory, I think, is sorry. Whether or not they've actually said it, we don't know. We're in a real pickle. Very little that we can do, so the factory are trying loads of different approaches, and they were 100% sure that they could make these rings, and 6 months down the line they're still like, oh, we think we can do it. But actually, this is genuine. Actually, genuinely said to me today, please don't order PVD rings. Please remove the PVD rings from the order. And I think that speaks volumes. They basically kind of started to give up hope a little bit on that. So that's the important part. When your stealth bomber comes, don't panic that it's a different colour. Just remember that it's a temporary free ring, and you will get your stealth bomber once we've got the production cycle sorted, which we are working on. We're not just sitting and doing nothing on this. This is something that this factory may be failing with, but that doesn't mean that we've given up, and I don't want to go too much into that, but you can probably read into that from that statement. Next thing is reliability improvements. This is a bit of good news, actually. Do you remember those 1,000 inlays that we got where they... you remember the company that made the inlays put some text on that said... I can't remember, like AM10, some text anyway that was nothing to do with us, and they put it on and it wasn't part of our spec sheet, and it looked horrible on the transparent rings. Well, they sent us 1,000 inlays that were totally blank, and so we put those in the rings, and we made 1,000 rings. We sent those out, and we were starting to notice failures, and the reason is that they didn't put the epoxy that goes on the bottom of the IC that keeps the IC bonded to the antenna. They didn't put that on the inlay. So the IC is detached from the antenna, which is kind of a big deal. So what we've done is we've resolved that issue. We resolved that issue months and months and months ago, but we only just found a way that we could do proper testing, and we also made sure that the factory wasn't putting too much glue on the inlay on the underside, because if you've got kind of like a super glue, it's a Loctite 410, I think. If you've got the super glue here and you put too much on, what it does is it wells up, and we have like a little hole in the middle of the inlay, and it goes up the hole in the middle of the inlay, and the super glue actually bonds to the epoxy that's on that holds the IC on. So you've got this extremely rigid super glue on this epoxy, so if you have any flex, what it does is it pulls that epoxy down away from the antenna, and this then causes the IC to be free to move. So what we've done is we've reduced the amount of glue we put either side of the inlay to stop that welling thing happening, and we've also made sure that the epoxy glue is on the inlay as per our design spec. So just an oversight, not a huge problem. What we'll do is if your ring fails, we just replace it. We already had contingency in place for that, but it just goes to show we've got to go through these processes, and if you do have that issue where your ring for some reason stops reading, then just hit up nfc.com, nfcring.com/returns. And there's a little video as well that shows one of the pieces of testing equipment that we use just to vibrate a ring, just to bounce it around a load, to try and detach the IC from the antenna. We use that, and we did a bunch of like hot and cold experiments, and we also did a bunch of is it subsonic, where you get these machines and you put it in some hot water, and then the hot water actually vibrates really fast, and it's used to clean rings usually, but we used it as a way to do some stress tests, and we were able to isolate the issue down to that, so that's good news. NFC Ring Unlock updates, we've got a bunch of those out. So these were mostly just bug fixes to do with like call settings and a bunch of string issues. We'd really like to know what features you'd like. We've got a URL which is far too long to pronounce. I'll look on the update and you'll see there. But we want to know what you want us to work on next as far as the NFC Ring Unlock app goes. We've got a little bit of time put aside to do that, and we just really want to know where your priorities lie, what you think's important. So get on there, let us know. And the next thing that we're doing is we've been working with Lockie on the forum and a bunch of other people, and what they're doing is they're trying to encourage people to innovate around the ring, and we're really keen on people creating new cool things. So jump on the forum and look at the posts that's called Calling All Innovators. Please read Ring Bounty, and basically if you've got a really cool idea or you make something really cool with NFC Ring, like a microwave that, I don't know, launches rockets to Jupiter and it's triggered by an NFC ring, it might need to be slightly more kind of purposeful than that. But if you've got any kind of cool idea like that, then put it on there, show some sort of diagram proposal for how you do it, and then Lockie will be on there, and he's got basically a bunch of the QA visual QA rings, which are great for kind of hacking with and experimenting with, and he'll be able to hit you up with one for free. So that's pretty cool. Next thing, I'm going to be doing a real-time QA session on IRC on Wednesday the 14th of May. So that's Wednesday the 14th of May, and I will be on IRC in the NFC Ring channel on Freenode. So if you've got any questions, or even if you just want to come and shout at me or give me some abuse, I'm kind of getting used to that a little bit now, then jump over to the NFC Ring IRC channel. It's irc.freenode.net. If you're unfamiliar with what IRC is, then jump on your popular search engine and search for IRC Freenode. I think there's a web client. You can easily just jump in through the web client and then join the NFC Ring channel. Maybe ask in the questions below if you're stuck and you need some help getting on there. And the last thing is just to thank you again for all being so patient. Hopefully we're giving you as much information as we can. I can't think of anything that we've kind of missing off from this update. I wanted to do a weekly one because I wanted to update you on the shipping numbers and also all the other things that's going on. The next big shipment is due, so I think it's due kind of Wednesday time, but this is based on what the factory have told us, and we lack confidence in what the factory tells us until we've got a DHL tracking number. We don't take it as gospel. So yeah, again, thanks everybody, and hope that I'll see you all soon.